Yo, 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 yo! What's up, all you burner stoners and potheads? This is Weedman 420 with the Weedman 420 Chronicles. How are all you vipers doing out there? Mrs Weedman.
Mr. Weedman.
How the hell are you?
I'm doing well.
That's awesome to hear.
Yeah. How are you?
I'm doing great. I banged my eye today, though, on a
Yeah, you
door.
did.
Got a nice little knot on my on my upper eyelid. I was going to pick up some food for Mrs. Weedman and I, and the door was heavy, and I pulled it, and it whacked me square in the eye, and I got a little bump.
Oh, I can see it's bruised.
I got a nice little bruise over the eye. I can laugh about
You
it
just
now.
pulled the door right into your own head.
Right into my own face. Lucky it didn't.
Did you yelp? Ow!
No, didn't even say
Nothing?
anything. I just,
Nothing.
when I
Were you
yelled,
mad?
I yelled "fuck" in my head really
I was
loud.
gonna say, did you have like flared nostrils and
I was
smoke coming out of
I
your
just
ears?
couldn't believe I did it.
Welcome to my life.
The door was fucking heady,
Yeah.
and I gave it a yank, and I yanked it a little. Didn't know my own Popeye strength.
Yeah, it wasn't as heavy as you thought.
No, but it was solid steel, boy, and it whacked me. Hey, everybody out there in the world. Hopefully you're smoking some big fat doinks while you're listening to the show. Mrs. Weedman and I are about to get baked because I need it.
I do too.
Yeah, I can't wait. You're yawning already.
No, I'm not. I'm not
Not?
yawning.
All
No,
right.
it's just no, I'm fine. I'm ready. This weed is not going to make me yawn.
No, this is Tropical Cookies. It's a sativa dominant strain.
Sweet. Can I smoke it?
Yeah, smoke it.
All right.
80-20, 80 sativa, 20 indica. It's named for its super delicious flavor and high-powered celebrity parentage. Tropical Cookies is the perfect choice for any lover of powerful sativas like its parent strains. Tropical Cookies has a sweet and fruity tropical sour citrus flavor with a lightly spicy and nutty exhale. The aroma is very similar with an earthly citrus overtone that's accented by fresh tropical fruits and freshly nutty baked cookies. The Tropical Cookies high is just as delicious with a lifted overtone that will have you feeling energized, focused, ready to take on your day with ease. This is accompanied by a physical sense of energy that gets your limbs moving, although they may begin to feel relaxed at times, leaving you kicking back, although not sedated or couch-locked. With these effects, it's about 23 to 25% average THC. Tropical Cookies is often chosen to treat those suffering from conditions such as depression, chronic stress, anxiety, chronic pain, and arthritis. This bud has popcorn-shaped bright green nugs with thick orange hairs and a coating of tiny, milky, white crystal trichomes. Effects: energizing, focus, happy, relaxing, uplifting. Relief symptoms of anxiety, arthritis, chronic pain, depression, and stress. Flavors are citrus, fruity, sour, sweet, and tropical. Aromas are citrus, earthy, herbal, nutty, sour, and spicy, and tropical. And this was grown by our good friend, Big Earl.
I just keep smoking it over here.
Yeah, I smoked this last night during the Grow Hour episode, which was phenomenal, by the way. We had some really good guests on, but I smoked this last night, and I smoked a whole bowl, and I was pretty stony baloney. I like the Grow Hour show because I don't have to talk as much. I get to just get baked. I ask questions and joke around. The seriousness comes from Big Earl and our guests, but I'm the comedic effect on it all because I don't know what the fuck I'm doing, so I just get to have fun and get stoned.
You're like the MC.
I am the MC.
Just keep the show rolling.
I do. We had a very good weekend. We did a great pop-up at the Rise Mundelein Consumption Lounge. It was great. You know why I liked it too? Because we got the smoke indoor.
It was fun.
While we were doing the vendor day.
Yeah.
So that was awesome. So you get to smoke in the lounge. We bought some dog walkers, and we bought some classic Jack Herrera, and we got a stone, and we got everybody around a stone who was doing the vendor booths. It was kind of fun. And one of the salespeople next to us who had a booth, she ordered sauce and was smoking sauce right there.
So this place is cool. It's Rise, and Rise they're a multi-state operator, but also have about 8 or 10 dispensaries in Illinois alone.
10. Yep.
And this particular dispensary is medical and recreational, although
They just reopened.
They remodeled.
They remodeled, so they reopened their medical that weekend.
And they're the first legal, legitimate consumption lounge. So you can get in line for your recreational cannabis. You can get in line for your medical cannabis. It's 2 separate spaces, completely separate spaces, 2 different entries, like building, kind of like combined building, separate entrances.
Yep.
Then in the back through the recreational dispensary is a lounge. And in this lounge, there's TVs, there's a bar. On the back of the bar on all the shelves are different bongs and smoking apparatuses. In the refrigerator are bongs filled with water and being chilled. So you don't see beer and taps and
see
things.
bongs,
You see,
baby.
yeah,
Bongs,
yeah.
bongs,
And so it's kind
bongs.
of being expanded upon. It's a growing space. Like they're getting it established. They have a coffee maker, an espresso maker. They're not functioning yet, but it's kind of a work in progress. But it was cool. It was a jam-packed day. They had events going on from noon until
8
like
o'clock.
8 or 9
Yeah.
p.m. And so we were there for the afternoon for a vendor event. We, unfortunately, because of Illinois laws, they can't let you display or sell items within the dispensary. We had to be in the lounge. But like Mr. Weedman said, that was really cool because we got to smoke.
Yeah.
It was really
and
fun.
chill.
And it was just fun to sit and experience people hanging out in the lounge, like a couple guys.
It was
with
crowded.
with their big bong smoking.
Yeah.
So there's an apparatus, a menu of gear, and then there's a menu of medicine or recreational cannabis. And so you go through and you pick your product you want to buy, and they bring it back to the lounge. The company does, and the bud tender brings it to your table. And then you pick your bong, your pipe, your papers, whatever you're going to smoke from, and they bring that to your table. It was really a cool.
It was cool. It was cool.
cool
It was
experience.
really special too. We had a couple people that listened to the show.
Yeah, make their
come
way
out.
over.
Yeah.
And they drove quite a bit to come see us. So
Yeah.
thank you guys,
I'd like
both
to
of you.
thank Sam, who I call him. His real name is David, and he threw us some. I walked him outside, and he gave us some great stuff to smoke and eat, and thank you for that because it's been great. And then also somebody we've never met before, Gabe and his mom. Mm-hmm. It was awesome.
It was great.
It was awesome. Thanks for coming. And
Gabe's mom, I got to chat with her a little bit while Mr. Weedman was talking to Gabe, and his mom grew up, was like a young adult in San Francisco.
Haight-Ashbury.
Yeah. At the height of, in the 60s, at the height of cannabis, like revolution in San Francisco. She's like, oh, well, all this stuff, I don't know. I just smoked joints and bongs. And we called it Mary Jane. She was so cute. So
yeah, she was very nice.
a self-proclaimed hippie from the 60s in San Francisco. That was fun to meet both of them.
Yes.
And to see Sam again. And yeah, it was really cool. Nice that they took their time out to come see us. And overall, just a really fun experience.
Yes, and we're looking to do some stuff with the Consumption Lounge, and maybe, just maybe, we might do a podcast at there. So it'll be
we
kind
might
of fun.
record there.
Yeah, so we'll keep you all in the loop and let you know the date, and we get everything all set up. So I'm pretty excited about that. So, but yeah, I didn't smoke yet, so I'm gonna hit this. I'm gonna hit this bowl.
I'm pretty stoned.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So you got nothing to
But
say?
that's
You got nothing to say? You're
I
too
think
stoned?
I lost my words. No, I'm going to be fine. I just have to. Right now, I'm very head high. It's going to take a minute to come back off of that.
I
level.
smoked this whole bowl by myself last night during the show, throughout the whole show. We recorded for an hour and 45 minutes, though. So,
Stony baloney.
I was pretty stoned. It was great, though. But I was quite impressed for the two guests we had on, Magic Beans and Greenfin were on the show, and it was their first podcast, and we had a lot of fun, a lot of laughs, a lot of digging, a lot of talk about genetics and breeding, and then talking about nutrients and stuff like that. So it was a lot of fun. So, but I did smoke that whole bowl last night, and I was stony baloney by the end of it. Big Earl smoked 2 fatties last night. He was, thank God I rolled that second one up. So it was good stuff. So, Mrs. Weedman, you ready to start the show?
Let's get it started.
Let's go. 1 in 5 people who are ditching alcohol for dry January say they're using cannabis instead. So, about 1 in 5 who are abstaining from alcohol as part of dry January. As everybody, this is the beginning of the year. Usually everyone they set their goals for the year. They set what they want to do. But this is dry January where they drink no alcohol. Some people do nothing. So, I don't participate in dry January. I don't participate in sober October. I just use moderation in my life to where I don't have to do this.
Woo! Did you hear that, people? Mr. Weedman uses moderation
And why?
because it's the way.
Because you taught me the way.
It's the way. It took Mr. Weedman a lot of years.
Until I was about 45.
There's still some times where I have to, remind him about moderation.
Not as bad as I used to be.
But you could probably say the same about me. So
I don't participate in any of those. I just moderate my life so I don't have to participate in that. I don't overconsume anything. So while most observers, 33% of the month-long alcohol breaks say they're not replacing booze with anything. 21% said they are opting for cannabis and CBD products, the poll from Civic Science found. Cannabis and cannabinoids are the most common alternative, with more people saying they're using the substance instead of alcohol for January than opted for a non-alcoholic beverage. Yeah, man. There's a lot of non-alcoholic beers in the last couple of years, especially the craft industry has done a lot of non-alcoholic beers. Why? Why bother? I mean, it's just like I've tried some of them. Some of them are okay, but it's just to the point is it's just to me they don't taste very good. They taste like tea. Mm-hmm. More than, I'm not talking about a Pilsner non-alcoholic beer. I'm talking about like a craft IPA or something like that. It tastes like I'm drinking cold. It's warm tea. Or lukewarm tea. It's kind of weird. Soda and seltzers are 20% and kombucha is 6%. Young people are most likely to say they're consuming cannabis over alcohol, with 34% of those 21 through 24 getting high while going dry. I like that saying. Get high, go dry. Compared to 24% of those 25 through 35. 22% of those 35 through 54, and 9% of those 55 and older. Those boomers, baby. They're saying, fuck dry January. I need booze. The result of the survey, which involved interviews with 938 people from January 6th to 11th, reflect a broader substitution trend that's been identified in multiple polls and studies over the recent years. As more states legalize marijuana, more people are choosing to use cannabis over alcohol, as well as certain prescription drugs like opioids. That's great. Part of the reason for the trend appears to be related to perceived dangers of various intoxicants, with most Americans saying they believe that cannabis is safer than alcohol and tobacco, as one survey released in October found. A separate poll released last year found that more Americans now openly admit that they smoke cannabis or eat cannabis-infused edibles or tinctures or anything like that. They say they smoke cigarette. They say they've smoked cigarettes in the past week. More than twice as many Americans think that cannabis has a positive impact on its consumers and society at large than say that the same about alcohol, according to the Gallup survey data. The general consistent, which the results of another poll released last year, is showing that more Americans think it'd be good if people switched to cannabis and drank less alcohol compared to those who think the substance substitution would be bad. A federally funded study that was published last week also determined that people living in states that have legalized cannabis for adults are less likely to experience alcohol use disorder compared to those in prohibition states. That's pretty good. Advocates and stakeholders have touted that data points not only do they underscore the economic opportunity of legalization, but the hope is that providing regulated access to cannabis means fewer people will use more dangerous drugs like alcohol, tobacco, and certain prescription medicines. About 1 in 3 chronic pain patients report using cannabis and treatment option, and most of the people has used cannabis as a substitute for other pain medications, including opioids. That was recently published in the American Medical Association. So that's great stuff, too. The same month, another study found that pharmaceutical industry takes a serious economic hit after states legalized cannabis, which average markets lost nearly $10 billion for drug makers per each legalization event. That's huge. That's good stuff. So, yes, smoke cannabis instead of alcohol during dry January, if that's what's going to make you not drink. Practice moderation, though, and then you don't have to worry about doing dry January or sober October or just stopping altogether. Learn moderation. Thanks, Mrs Weedman.
You could thank my grandma and grandpa.
Which side?
Nana and grandpa. Well, yeah, Nana, grandpa, Mimi.
Yeah. They're great at it. Mm-hmm. They lived their
my
life very
My other grandfather
moderate.
wasn't so good at moderation.
He liked his booze and cigars.
Work hard, play hard.
Yeah.
That was his theory.
I know a lot of people that live that lifestyle. CBD.
Yeah.
We've talked about it many times on the show.
We have.
I've used CBD, but not consistently. So here's the thing. A lot of people I've talked to in the past that use CBD say it doesn't work. Some people that use it every day says it works. The one thing about this is when you take a vitamin, you have to take that every day to see the results of that vitamin or that mineral or that nutrient. The same thing with what we're going to talk about here, right? The same thing with CBD.
Yeah,
So
and
go
actually,
ahead.
this is informative to me. I consume cannabis, THC. I don't do much with CBD products. I have some skincare, but that's like hemp stem cell. So I don't know if that would
We
be.
smoke some
So I guess
CBD
that
here
would
and
be
there.
right. Occasionally, like
We'll do
we'll do a
mix.
ratio.
Yeah, a ratio like a 2-to-1 or 3-to-1.
But we don't have like a bunch of supplements and ointments and things like that.
We
I've
have
got
like,
a couple balms.
and we have some edibles too that are a 2-to-1 or a 1-to-1 or a 20-to-1 ratio.
But this is enlightening. So
Right.
follow me along with this because it's very interesting. Because, like Mr. Weedman was saying, you can't take a multivitamin once a week and expect to have the results of balanced nutrition in your body. You know, a supplement is to supplement what you don't take in with the food that you eat. And none of us eat, right? I mean, some people do. Most of us don't, right? So supplements are good for that. So kind of think about that and how you would consume and use supplements to benefit your health and kind of apply some of those principles to CBD. So here's why the CBD you bought isn't working. If you're using CBD or cannabinoids of any kind, consistency is essential. One of the biggest mistakes you can make when taking CBD is expecting an immediate fix. Often, people take CBD and expect it to work like a drug, which I thought that was exactly what I thought. Although, like, I recognize when you use cannabis, there's a process of your body kind of learning to respond to it, and you have to kind of wake up your endocannabinoid system. So the more you consume cannabis, then the more awake and alive your endocannabinoid system is, and then you're receiving more of the benefits of the drug.
And we're not saying overconsume.
No.
We're just saying consume it
Consistently.
on a normal basis.
Right.
Not
It's
overconsumption.
different. It really does become different once you really understand how you feel when you consume cannabis. Not out like partying and having drink. Like you really understand your relationship with cannabis and how it affects you. It's a game changer.
Yeah.
And so, again, here it is with CBD. I guess I had just thought about like all these topicals and supplements that they were more like fast acting, short term supplements, but that's not the case. So often people take CBD and expect it to work like a drug, noticeably and immediately. But CBD is less like Tylenol and more like a good exercise regimen. It can take a while before you notice a difference. And like with any good supplement, using CBD regularly is the key to experiencing its benefits. If you're using CBD and you're not sure why you haven't noticed a difference yet, here are some things to consider. Consistency is essential. The majority of successful studies on CBD involve giving the participants a daily dose of CBD, not a once-off dose. Often, these studies span for weeks or months. Most experts advise that CBD takes a while to build up in your system, and for this reason, you can't expect immediate results after a single dose. So what does this mean for you? In order to reap the benefits of CBD, it's best that you use it on a daily basis. We recommend using your product every day around the same time even. Anecdotally, most CBD users we know start noticing a difference after a minimum of 5 days of regular use. Some people use it for 3 weeks before they feel the full benefits.
Woke up that endocannabinoid system right there.
Yeah, and I would think like inflammation, that wouldn't be immediate, right? Things like that. Or pain, maybe even too. Some people do claim that they notice an immediate effect. Although this might be the case for you, it's more likely that you'll need to give it a while. You might find that it is best to use CBD around the same time every day. You can take it several times a day, say morning, evening, and lunchtime if you prefer. And that can give you kind of like microdosing. It can give you a more consistent dose throughout the day. If you've used CBD consistently for over a week and you don't notice any differences, it might be that you're using too little. If you're an experienced cannabinoid user, we always suggest, so if you already use THC, your body is used to it, maybe you need a higher dose of CBD, okay? We always suggest to start with a higher with the higher recommended milligrams. However, if you're totally new to using CBD or cannabinoids, it's best to start with a low dose and slowly increase it. Although it's pretty rare, some people do experience side effects from CBD, such as nausea and fatigue. And if you do experience these side effects, you might want to try taking it with a meal to decrease. Try taking it with a meal, decrease your dosage, or stop taking it altogether. We recommend experimenting a little. Try a higher dose if you like, but remember that when it comes to benefiting from CBD, time and consistency is more important than dose. If you want to make the most of your hemp tinctures, we recommend using CBD with a high-fat meal. A 2016 study found that fat helps absorb more CBD, increasing the bioavailability from less than 10% to around 30%. In other words, fat helps your body absorb and use CBD. For a bonus, add a little black pepper. An animal study found that CBD levels in the bloodstream were 6 times higher when taken with pepperine, which is found in black pepper. And lastly, we recommend keeping a dosage journal. Whether you write it down on a piece of paper or use your notes app, try to record your daily dosage. When you're new to CBD, this can help you learn what your body will need and figure out your ideal dosage. Since no two bodies are alike, only you can hear what your body is saying. We're used to instant gratification. We pop pills for relief from pain and headaches. We click a single button and have thousands of movies at our fingertips. We place online orders and receive them the next day. While this is convenient, it's important to remember that the best things in life often come slowly. Consistently sticking to healthy habits like exercise, eating well, taking supplements, or using CBD might not give us instant results, but it sure can improve our lives for the better. Slow, sustainable changes might be just what your body needs.
See? That's good.
Slow and steady wins the race.
Always. Ask the turtle.
Turtle, turtle, turtle.
Turtle, turtle. First U.S. surgery, cannabis guidance released. The American Society of Regional Anesthesia and Pain Medicine agreed to basic guidelines for cannabis and surgery. Finally, detailed and informed advice on the potential interactions between cannabis and anesthetics medication before, during, and after surgery is taking shape. The first guidelines of cannabis use and surgery timeline were published on January 3rd by the American Society of Regional Anesthesia and Pain Medicine, who acknowledged that up till now there is no single document that summarizes all of these concerns. The guidance is based on known data and recommendations from the Proprietary Use of Cannabis and Cannabinoids Guidelines Committee, a group composed of 13 anesthesiologists, chronic pain physicians, experts, and patient advocates. The committee answered 9 questions and made recommendations using a modified Delphi consensus method. They arrived at over 75% agreement required for recommendation, and all 21 recommendations achieved full consensus. Recommendations include screening all patients before surgery, postponing elective surgery in patients who have altered mental status or impaired decision-making capacity at the time of surgery, counseling frequent users on the potential negative effects of cannabis use on prospective pain control, counseling pregnant patients on the potential risk of cannabis use at times to unborn child. We talked about that in the last episode about using cannabis while being pregnant. The mixing is in on that. So, addressing surgery and cannabis concerns. While many of the proprietary risk and challenges related to proprietary cannabis, such as how to advise patients I'm going to butcher this word, preoperatively, the effects of cannabis on, you just got to sound it out and you get it right, on anesthetics medications. And interaction between cannabis, opioids, and pain have been described in the literature. There is no single document that summarizes all these concerns and provides evidence based on recommendations, the document reads. The document continues, flexibility in clinical practice guidelines is intended to enable person-centered decision-making and takes into account individuals' expected health outcomes and well-being within the context of various regulatory environments. No recommendations were made for the reduction of cannabis administered by other non-smoking routes before surgery, due to current lack of evidence. The routine of tampering of cannabis and cannabinoids before, during, or after surgery. The use of an operative EEG in patients who have taken cannabinoids, nor adjusting opioid prescriptions afterwards in surgical patients who use cannabinoids. Authors noted the wide range of recommendations for pre-op patients, but cautioned that surgery could be postponed for a minimum of 2 hours after smoking cannabis. People who rely on medical cannabis are advised to taper off before surgery in some cases. Most current recommendations, however, advise patients to abstain from cannabis a few to 10 days prior to surgery. A recent consensus-based guideline recommending reducing cannabinoids use 7 days prior to surgery, while cautioning not to attempt any tapering strategies within 6 days of elective surgery and not to attempt tapering a day prior to the surgery. The document continues with a range of guidance. Contrary to this recommendation, recent reviews of cannabinoids recommended 72 hours prior to surgery. An even more conservative recommendation was recently provided, in which the authors recommend up to 10 days of oral cessation of oral cannabis consumption. Does cannabis impact anesthesia? Research has a long way to go. However, there is a growing body of evidence showing potential interactions and effects of cannabis before or after surgery. One study published in Baylor University Medical Proceedings in 2019 shows that cannabis consumers may require higher doses of anesthesia than non-consumers, as well as a slew of potential interactions, while another study found no significant difference between surgery in their gastrointestinal tract. Cannabis might be an issue at the dentist as well. There is a strong belief that cannabis interacts with the Novocaine and local anesthetics like lidocaine. In one study dating back to 1976, THC interacted with undesirable with anesthetic medications. I have to agree with the dentist part. Remember, they have to. Yep. So I had a lot of teeth work done the last couple of years, and they could not get my mouth numb. They gave me above the legal limit the last 2 or 3 times. I talked to the dentist, and I said to him, I said, I do smoke cannabis. I do consume every night. Does this have an effect on the Novocaine and the anesthesia, the Novocaine? And he goes, possibly. He goes, there's not enough studies. And he goes, I really don't know the research, but it's possibly that could be happening. So they had to give me even a stronger Novocaine. I forgot what it was called, and they had to stick it in the back of my ear through my mouth that hit the back of my ear. I
remember you talking about
that. And I finally got numb.
Right.
7 shots of Novocaine and the fucking shot behind the ear.
Were you confusing pressure with pain?
Huh? No.
Like, were you thinking you were feeling it, but you weren't really feeling it?
No. I fucking know.
Pain.
Oh, yeah. Like, I had to get a root canal done. And he hit that fucking nerve. And after, like, the 4th shot, he went in to see how things were going. And he hit that nerve, and I fucking flew out of the chair. You know how they do that tap?
Yes.
With the metal?
The cold.
And I begged him, pleaded with him not to use either one. I'm like, it just hurts, dude. Just drill. You know what's wrong with me. Just fucking drill it. And he's laughing, and he's like, I have to do. I'm like, I'm in fucking pain. I'm going to jump out of my fucking skin if you do this to me. Like, and he did it, and I gripped the fucking chair. I almost ripped the fucking handles off the chair. I was irate. Remember, he sent me home? He gave me 2 more shots. He goes, let's try 2 more shots, and it still didn't do it. Remember, I was pissed. I'm like, I'm going to be fucking somewhat numb now for 4 hours. And he goes, well, I got to have this other doctor that knows this procedure. He's the only one that does it. I don't know how to do it. I'm like, where they have to go through the back of the
so you had to redo it all over
again. He shot me up 6 times, shot it inside the tooth, and then they did the one behind the ear.
Crazy.
Nuts.
So maybe
it could be possible the reason why it doesn't interact well with Novocaine. It blocks it out. So it's possible.
So so then maybe you need to do, before you have any procedure, do like a 3 or 4 day tolerance break. Or just a break
just
for
just shoot me through the back of the fucking mouth. How about that? Behind the ear.
Well, I mean, if you could avoid half of those shots and not have to get the bad one.
Just give me that one. You know now.
Right.
Just give me that one shot and call it a day.
No, just don't smoke for 3 days before your procedure, goofball. And then
He could have knocked me out. He said, "You want some gas instead?"
you should have just taken that.
But that might not work either.
Crazy.
I know, right? We talked last episode about cannabis and kids getting into edibles and stuff like that. So now this episode we talked about, I said that I had an article for you to talk about when should you talk to your kids about cannabis. And this is new because we had our dog on the show a while back and we asked her that question. And she said, yeah, probably high school. I think she said, from what I remember. I can't really totally remember. But now that it's going legal and kids are getting into people's edibles, this article suggests 5th grade.
Mm-hmm.
I think it should even be sooner now.
Right. Yeah,
Maybe not
because-
have the full conversation, but have the conversation, the
Yeah.
early stages of it.
Yeah, because it's not just your own home; it's your kids' friends' homes. You don't know what they're seeing
Right.
elsewhere,
Right.
whether it's a sibling who uses or a parent, and there's cannabis in the house. Your kid might see it before they're in 5th grade. But the DARE program, I think, always started. It started in 5th grade because the kids had it at the elementary school, not at the junior high.
Right.
So DARE is talking about cannabis in a bad light, war on drugs.
Cannabis is
it's
bad,
all
McKay.
But they feel science in the educational system said that this is a good age to introduce these things.
Right.
So I think that's right on board with what they're saying.
Cool.
So when should you talk to your kids about cannabis? One expert suggests 5th grade. Missouri's children may have more questions about cannabis since voters said yes to Amendment 3, legalizing recreational use for those 21 and older. Cannabis dispensaries are expected to begin selling recreational by next month. The new market means more advertisements to sell products like edibles and THC vape cartridges, items that could be tempting to young people. So, how should you talk to the youth in their lives? How should adults talk to the youth in their lives about cannabis? Prevent Ed is a nonprofit that does outreach in schools from pre-K through high school to talk to students about substance use and abuse, as well as provide resources to adults on how to have productive conversations that honor and respect the youth. On Monday, Prevent Ed Executive Director Nicole Dawsey joined St. Louis on the air to share her advice on when to have the talk about substance use, how to get past the awkward conversation and talk with, not at, young people about cannabis. Elaine Cha says, when is the earliest I should talk to kids about cannabis and other substances? Where should this conversation happen? Nicole Dawsey says, the research says around 5th grade, in really age-appropriate ways, around 10 or 11 years old. We know that we can teach in school through health classes, but when they go home, if they're going home to neighborhoods or families that are not maybe providing the same information or providing counter information, or I would argue worse, no information, then all of this can sort of just undo what we taught in school. Cha then asks, well, how should you talk to young people about cannabis if you're not their parent or guardian? I'm pretty high. Were you feeling it? Like I just went through like a little phase of feeling like, ooh, just spacey. Okay, Dawsey says, well, we know that the overwhelming majority of middle and high school students report that the adults in their lives influence the extent to which they're going to use substances, cannabis included. And so, let's go back to expectations. You're not saying you're going to hate them forever if they do these things, but you are saying it's my expectation that you will not. Those conversations can begin in middle school. Cha says, do youth and teens want to talk about cannabis with adults? Dawsey says, they absolutely want to talk about it. There are times in a young person's life where peers are the most important. We also know that adults who they value as mentors, those are the people that they are seeking out. To hear more from Nicole Dawsey, listen to St. Louis on the Air Apple Podcast. So it just is kind of reiterating that they're just at a maturity level where you can have these conversations. But I think there's not much harm in talking about it sooner, just because it's becoming so common in so many places.
And have the light-hearted conversation about cannabis. Don't be so finger-pointing, because cannabis isn't bad. Talk about the benefits of cannabis. Reach out to experts or people who know about cannabis and can give you some information. There should be
Some like
a manual or something like to show the good of cannabis, not saying that all the bad information that's come out about cannabis in the last
But then there's the fear, I think, that a parent of a 10 or 12 or a young preteen, if you tell them all of the benefits and how great it is.
But if you teach them that it's a medicine and how it helps somebody that has seizures,
right?
Or somebody who has cancer, or somebody.
But maybe you only use it recreationally. I think it's a matter of acknowledging the plant for what it is.
Right.
Just like alcohol. It's alcohol, no, because it's a much different lesson.
Yes.
And cannabis is actually good for you.
Right. And that's the way it needs to be taught.
But then with limitations to say, like, that your brain is developing. So even though it is good for you, if you don't have, at this stage of your life, it's really only beneficial to you if it's a medicine. So if you have a condition that would require it for your health,
seizures, right?
Then or anxiety or depression,
right.
They're fine, whatever. If it's beneficial to your health and the benefits outweigh the risk of maybe your brain health and your brain growth and development, those are odds that have to be weighed all the time when a child becomes sick, when an adult becomes sick, and you have to take a medication to handle the illness that you have. So I think that cannabis can be talked about in a really positive light, in a very honest light, but then with limitations that as a child you shouldn't be consuming it. It's something that waits until your brain is done, and maybe it's just like that matter of fact, like your brain just needs to develop. Get over it. It's
right.
not, you shouldn't have it. When the time is right, go for it.
Right. Yeah.
Time isn't now.
But have the conversation.
But have the conversation
that it's good. Have the conversation that it's medically beneficial for this stuff.
Right.
Go through it and say, not at your age, but if you need it, there might be something there for you to use, but have the good conversation about it. That's what I'm trying to get at here. Don't say it's bad, right?
Right.
100%. So 2,000 cannabis plants, or I should say 2,000 cannabis grow licenses in the wild, wild west of Oklahoma can be potentially illegal, says the agency. There's a lot of...
Legal operations could be illegal?
Yes.
200 of them?
2,000 cannabis grow licenses ID'd as potentially illegal.
Well, because Oklahoma just kind of opened, like,
yes,
do whatever you want.
Yeah, there was supposed to be 1,200 dispensary licenses right now, and I think there was a total of 2,200 licenses.
So now they have to get everything
right.
back. They got to reel it in.
They got 2,000
We went a little
right. They
Wild
got
West.
2,000 under investigation. They're working with partners to identify the criminal networks. Because there's a lot of fucking illegal grows out there, or there's a lot of people that have. There's supposedly, from what I remember talking about here, and then also reading, there's something like 8,000 cultivation licenses in Oklahoma, and they think a lot of them are illegal, and a lot of them like where an outside group would come in, buy a license, do a massive grow, and then just leave.
Oh.
Because it's just weird. So this is like where they're trying to fix a lot of shit. And it's crazy there because I just saw someone posting they're selling 10,000 milligram edibles in Oklahoma now. And I think I've mentioned this before. 10,000. Distillate is so cheap in Oklahoma. It used to go for like $1,500 a liter. Now it's like $300 a liter. 10,000 milligrams. It's 10 1,000 milligram edibles in that bag for like $100, $80.
Oh my gosh.
So cheap. So cheap. It's just like, oh my goodness.
Those people that smoke in Oklahoma are high.
Yeah. Tell me about it. They just sit on the couch all
Right?
day and don't move.
Couch lock.
Yeah. Medical weed in sales continue to decline in Arizona. And The latest figures released by the Arizona Department of Revenue found that taxable medical cannabis sales totaled $31.3 million for October. It's the 8th consecutive month of decline. All states go through this that are medical, that go recreational. They lose a little bit of their med patients because most people didn't really truly have an ailment. They just went to the doctor and they got a card and they were able to buy medical cannabis. When the card probably lapses, they don't go back and renew it, and they just go to the rec side of things. I don't think that it's same thing here in Illinois. They pay no attention to medical cannabis here in Illinois now because how much the recreational cannabis side brings in things. So are we down in cannabis sales in Illinois? And for medical side, yeah, a little bit, but that's the same thing. Some people never went back and renewed their cars. So I don't think it's a bad thing. Just don't panic. Treat those medical patients right. Tennessee lawmakers unveiled cannabis legalization bill. 2 Democratic lawmakers in Tennessee have introduced a legalization to legalize medical and adult use cannabis in the state. That state still prohibits cannabis. The bill may legalize possession up to 60 grams of weed. That's cool. Legal pot is available in the surrounding states: Arkansas, Mississippi, Alabama, Missouri to the north, and Virginia. Tennessee Democrats support the legalization, but not so much on the Republican side of things. I'm shocked that they're not even medical there. They allow CBD. It's weird.
It is.
And I want to go smoke in Nashville, so let's go. We did smoke in Nashville. I've smoked in Nashville many times. But I don't want to get in trouble smoking in Nashville is what I'm trying to say. Here's something big. This is dope. Literally. Indiana lawmakers introduced bipartisan bill to legalize cannabis. They came across the table. Indiana lawmakers on both sides of the aisle had pushed to legalize cannabis, but it's dependent on changes made at the federal level first. But they introduced a bill, 1039, was introduced last week, and if passed, once cannabis is removed off the federal Schedule I controlled substance, it would legalize cannabis use for anyone 21 years and older, and for people for serious medical conditions who have a doctor's permission. The bill would also create Indiana's Cannabis Commission to oversee, implement, and enforce regulations. It would also create a cannabis excise tax, and revenue would be deposited in the state general fund. Here's what I say about that, and you've heard me talk about this before. Indiana, you are in a surplus. Probably one of the only states that is. Do it right. Don't over-fucking tax it. If you don't need the money, just treat it as a regular sales tax. Whatever your sales tax is in your state, just treat it that way. Do not fucking jack it up because it's fucking cannabis like they've done here in Illinois. Just do whatever your state tax is. Keep it at fucking 6, 8, 10%. And done. And on the medical side, 3%, 2%, 1%. How about 1% for the medical side of things? And whatever your state tax is there, and of course eventually pay federal tax. But do it right. Make it affordable. Don't let people have to buy $75 eights, and then the black market will still run rampant. Treat it right. Make sure everyone's profitable. The state, Caesar's getting his money, and make it good for everybody in that state. And then you're going to have a lot of people coming to your state for tourism because you charge a good price for weed. So that's my thing. New York lawmakers to crack down on sticker stores selling cannabis. The first recreational cannabis sales started in New York in December, nearly 2 years after the state legalized recreational cannabis. The state's illicit market is thriving, while there's only one shop so far selling illegal adult weed. I wonder how long those fucking lines are. To tackle the issue of retailers who are selling stickers and gifting their customers with cannabis, state officials and lawmakers met last Thursday in ways of putting an end to this. So, crazy. Pennsylvania governor grants his final pardons, over 2,500 in total. Good for Governor Tom Wolf. He granted his final 369 pardons last week, adding up to a total of 2,500 issued during his tenure. That's pretty dope. Minnesota senator urges more research before consider rec legalization. Minnesota House Democrats unveiled a widening range bill allowing 21-year-olds to buy, sell, and use recreational cannabis last week. The measure would also automatically expunge low-level cannabis convictions. The 250-page legislation advanced through the House Commerce Committee on Wednesday. Still, some are questioning the effects of cannabis as over health. Come on, man. Minnesota Senator Carl Nelson recently said that more research is needed before legalization is considered. Yeah, that's going to take years because it's not federally legal there, Senator. And what else is going on in Minnesota is that, like I said, they have kind of cleared that first total on adult use legalization bill. So we'll see what happens. Here's another big one. Wisconsin Republicans refuse to consider legalizing recreational cannabis, but
I
rec,
read that today. I know.
but not med. So Republican lawmakers in Wisconsin have indicated they will not support efforts to legalize or decriminalize recreational use of cannabis, despite the fact that such efforts are backed by a majority of the state's residents. Vote them out. Lawmakers are considering making cannabis accessible for medical reasons in the state under very specific circumstances. Certainly, every state that borders Wisconsin allows some form of medical cannabis use. But both leaders said they didn't see a path forward for legalization that would legalize recreational use of the cannabis, despite the fact that 2 states bordering Wisconsin already have such measures in place, and a third, Minnesota, appears to be headed most likely in that direction. So, come on, Wisconsin. I love your state. I love going to Madison. It's a great town. Milwaukee's cool, too, and the whole state is beautiful. You should legalize it, not only just on the med side, but on the rec side. You are losing so many people to going down to Illinois to buy recreational cannabis. Same thing with Iowa. I see more cars in the parking lot, Iowa parking lot, along the border stores here than I do Illinois. They at least got a little minute medical program doing $10 million a year. But you're telling me that Wisconsin can't get at least a full medical program going, which is just absolutely asinine. They have great soil up there. You can get some great cannabis up there if they grew it in that soil.
It would be amazing.
Yes. So get your shit together, Wisconsin. Connecticut cannabis customers were surprised by prices, and they analyzed it over other states. Prices at Connecticut's newly opened cannabis recreational dispensaries are higher than prices at dispensaries in surrounding states, according to CT Insider. Well, you just started. That I get. But on the first day of legal cannabis sales here, many customers took to social media to decry what they saw as prices higher in Connecticut than those for comparable products in Massachusetts, among other states. Finally, now I can spend $35 on a pre-roll that won't even get you high. One user said $35 on a pre-roll. What? I'll tell you this right now. Here it is. There's your reason why the traditional market will never, ever go away.
Right.
Because the states being greedy and dispensaries and cultivators being somewhat greedy, but the taxes are probably just ginormous. Mm-hmm. The prices are high right now, but blowing my mind, absolutely blowing my mind, another user said on Reddit. Kevin Crawford, founder and owner of Canna-travel, which he described as a cannabis lifestyle brand celebrating the unique cannabis stylings of Connecticut, said he heard from many friends and followers about what they felt were high prices on the first day of legal sales. The perception that prices were higher may have contributed to a muted first day of sales. It said that they sold $359,000 in revenue for the first 7 recreational dispensaries that were open. That's only 7 dispensaries. Jeez. You're going to be fighting with the legacy market where people have to known where to get their product for cheaper for God knows how long. The prices are higher than most places around here. They're higher than Massachusetts, which is right up the street. For many of us, we can just go there. A review of prices online show higher price points in Connecticut for almost every cannabis product. A 100-milligram package of cannabis gummies at Fine Federal Dispensary in Stanford, for example, costs $40. It's $10 more here, 10 to 15, $20 more than Illinois. That's pretty expensive. A similar product also containing 100 milligrams of THC, the substances cannabis that gets consumers high, costs $25 at Fine Feds Dispensary. The same at the Rise Dispensary in Bloomfield, New Jersey at $35, and Aurora in Central Falls, Rhode Island. A 3.5 container of flour had an online listed price of $50 at most Connecticut dispensaries as of January 11th. A similar product might cost $5 less in Massachusetts, but as much or more in Rhode Island. Prices on THC-laden vape cartridges were about $55 for a half gram and $100 for a full gram. Oh my gosh!
Crazy.
That's nuts. So you're going to go from cultivators to potentially, depending on how things shake up, 30 or 40 plus cultivators, the major change would said. I think retail will also generate competition and competitive pricing. Yeah, it's going to take a few years, so we'll see. It's still just like I said about what I just say about Indiana. Do it right. You know what I'm saying? Just fucking price it right. All right. We love dogs.
Dogs.
And this is great because the article has a dog of a Chihuahua, and this is funny because our Chihuahua ate some weed butter that fell on the floor one time we were making edibles, a nice like pat of butter, and he nailed it. And
he was all of like 7 pounds.
and he was fucked up for hours. He
was like
sketching.
boxing. He was on his back legs.
He was sketched.
Just like poking his like a kangaroo with his short upper arms. He was like poking. He was so nervous and oh my god, the poor little guy.
Oh yeah, he was fucked
bad.
up. So dogs on doobie stats soar with pot legalization and normalization. Tell us about it, Mrs. Weedman.
Yes, dogs on doobies. More dogs are getting high on their owner's supply. Accidental consumption of cannabis by children and pets has spiked nationwide, sometimes leading to episodes of cannabis-induced toxicosis. It's not unusual to see 2 cases of marijuana-related poisoning per shift. Angela Collins, who practices emergency veterinary care in Springdale, tells Axios. Calls to the National Pet Poison Helpline for issues related to THC increased 987% between 2017 and 2021. Veterinarian toxicologist Renee Schmid, who's located in Bloomington, Minnesota, tells Axios. More than 50,000 pounds of medical marijuana was sold to about 90,000 cardholders in Arkansas last year, a record high since the state's industry launched in mid-2019. Dogs, like toddlers, use their mouths and noses to investigate the world and are more inclined than other pets to ingest THC-laced products. Cats rank second. So I guess what they're saying with that blurb, this article was kind of weird, and I tried to turn it into more of a readable article. They're relating, they're correlating, the increased sales through dispensaries to the increase in ingestion, right? Accidental ingestion. So dogs like toddlers use their mouths and noses to investigate the world and are more inclined than other pets to ingest THC-laced products. Cats rank second. Many edibles come in the form of sweets, which are very attractive for canines, veterinarians said. THC-laced butter used to make edibles is particularly harmful because of its high concentration of the chemical THC. And while toxicity is rarely fatal for pets, the substance can cause unusual behavior, and panic for the animals and their owners alike. Easier access is likely to blame, at least in part for the increase in pet poisonings, according to a study published last year. There's a strong correlation between registered medical card holders and cases of toxicosis in dogs, a separate academic study found. A spokesperson for San Francisco's Just Answer Veterinary Care said the National Service fielded more than 7,700 marijuana-related calls from 2019 to 2022. Legalized weed is a $64 billion market across the nation, and some form of THC is permitted in all but 3 states. Voters will weigh recreational use in Oklahoma this March, and Ohio lawmakers have until May 3rd to approve a citizen-initiated proposal, or it too will go to the voters. Dogs are attracted to the dried version of the plant and will eat unburned marijuana from ashtrays.
We have one that tries all the time.
Said Beth Kohler with National Veterinary Associates. Many dogs seem to ingest cannabis in San Francisco Bay Area parks and sidewalks, she added. So be smart. There are signs to look for when your furry friend may be stoned, and that includes shaky walking, lethargy, flinching, vomiting, hypersensitivity to light or motion, and dribbling urine. If there's a question about how much your dog consumed, consult with the veterinarian, and most pets will sleep it off in 24 hours, the vet tells us. The bottom line, be honest with your vet if you know weed was involved. It can be a sensitive subject for some people, but cannabis is increasingly accepted and protected under the doctor-patient confidentiality. And of course, lock up your stash.
Lock it up.
Lock it up.
I know Yuki likes.
Well, she likes it. Yeah.
She loves it. She's
Yeah.
always sniffing the
She's
tray.
always trying to get it.
She's always she ate a joint. Remember that?
Yes, she did.
She did.
She did.
She slept really well. International news. Australian residents could save $850 million annually if cannabis is decriminalized. That's fucking awesome. I mean, just incredible how much money they can save. Here's a good article. Where is it? Get in, loser. We're going on a private ganja farm adventure in Jamaica. I just nailed down a private ganja farm adventure in the hills of Jamaica. While there, I would see cannabis growing. Pick some, watch the bloods dry, get stoned as hell. It was a tad unclear. Nonetheless, I was hyped. This is the person writing the article talking about her trip and how she booked it all. Jamaica's all-inclusive properties were boring to me. I wanted something different, away from the beaches, to romp through the green, mountainous hills, so I booked a trip, feeling anything but a loser, ready to explore a more local side of the island, more local than internationally owned resorts at least. It's worth noting that there are plenty of locally owned guest houses in Jamaica. Technically speaking, ganja, weed, cannabis, etc., is illegal in Jamaica. It was fully banned and deemed illegal under the 1913 ganja law, and for over a century was treated as a black market commodity. Thankfully, world leaders are starting to come to their senses, and cannabis was officially decriminalized in 2015. Jamaican residents can now possess up to 2 ounces without the worry of criminal record and cultivate up to 5 plants without prosecution. It seems like that second clause is pretty open-ended and not as heavily enforced, considering ganja grows plenty throughout the island, and there's a lot of talk of the farmers up in the mountains. Still, it does seem like there are a few safeguards. I was told little to no information on where the ganja farm was located and where exactly I was headed. Adds to the mystique. I got picked up at 9 a.m., my driver drove me, and I sat in the front seat, and I noticed that most of the land was fenced off for farming. Dennis explained that the first town we came to, Good Hope, currently represents one of the largest farm-based communities throughout the whole island of Jamaica. A local football field sat in the left center of town, and complementing the houses nestled alongside of the road. A few more minutes up Mount Airy, Dennis slowed down and pulled over. Right behind us was a small bar. To the right was a tall wire metal fence. Dennis called through the cupped hands into the hilly fields above the road, and a man jumped out and said, "Hi." No, I'm just kidding. Just jumped out and said, "Over here." Dennis introduced me to Kurt, who wore a salmon-colored T-shirt, gray shorts. He was slim, probably in his 40s, and a man of few words. I told him I was here. We started walking our way up through the dense switchbacks. Having lived in Colorado and Utah in the past 3 years, I was able to keep up pretty easily. Kurt was leading the way, me following behind, and we went up the hill. And once Kurt opened this gate, it became sensory overload, and I understood the magnitude of the operation. Thousands of plants surrounded the field of vision in just about every direction I looked. Not only that, but the smell was mouth-watering. Even if you don't smoke weed, it's hard not to take a liking to the smell of fresh plants. Here the plants lived and prospered among the natural terrain of the land. Many of the plants were growing in tires, but some were also growing in the natural soil. They're up 393 feet above sea level, and there's a plethora of limestone throughout the farm. Believe it or not, the ocean once covered this land before, and the island rose out of the sea millions of years ago. While growing cannabis outside may not be considered optimal conditions in the United States, it is in Jamaica. I was told that the farm is among dozens more throughout the area and grows and cultivates ganja to be sold and dispersed throughout the island. Because of the mineral-rich rocks and soil, the plants prosper and grow here year-round without a problem. Whew, that's awesome. Making sure I watched my footing, I walked through the dense forest of cannabis plants. Huge plants as high as 10 feet hovered over me, while some plants were just starting off as little sprouts. There were families of plants ready to harvest, and little wee new buds that were soaking in as much sun as possible to thrive. I don't know, maybe thousands, Kurt said, of plants and hybrids and pollinating and replicating almost every day. He couldn't keep count of how many plants he has. I guess that's a good problem. I noticed several piles of what looked like fresh fire ash in various locations throughout the farm. The plants like to smoke, Kurt told me with a slight laugh. He was telling the truth. While cannabis operations in the States may have to adhere to strict growing guidelines and use calculated research and additives, chemicals in order to get the best tasting strains, the Jamaicans I met, Kurt in particular, prefer a more natural method, smoking the plants. He explained that exposing cannabis plants to regulated small amounts of fire smoke yields stronger, more potent plants. While ganja leaves and aromas took up most of the sensory awareness, some misplaced plants also stood tall among the cannabis plantation. A papaya tree, banana tree positioned themselves proudly among the cannabis counterparts, while several hidden Scotch bonnet pepper plants camouflaged themselves in thick of the ganja growth. Kurt picked some peppers, they picked a banana, they had some goodies along the way after they got stoned. After strolling through this nearly 3 decades old ganja farm, smelling the abundance of Mary Jane against the salty breeze, and seeing and feeling the delicious sticky buds, I'd work up quite an appetite. Soon the tour was over, and the time for me to blaze up in the hills of Jamaica was over. That left me to take care of business. Kurt took out a little electric coffee grinder and ground me up some fat buds and perfect consistency of ground flour. And Dennis rolled some of it up in a joint for me. Kurt packed the rest in a homemade coconut bong. We talked about those coconut bongs. So finished smoking. We had a great time. I loved the trip, she says in this article, and right to the point of travel. With the thirst of adventure and the intrepid spirit, it can take you to some mighty high places. Now, the question is, would you just by yourself jump in a car and go to a cannabis farm?
By myself? Like
This
just
person
go to
went
one?
this person went by
Yeah,
themselves.
I don't. Yeah, if I could.
Yeah,
I would
think
like
it'd
to
be
see
cool.
it. Yeah.
To see a farm, an outdoor grow farm, and
Heck yeah.
Along the water and in the mountains. It'd be dope.
Yeah, why not?
Sweet. Now, we talked about one vacation. Tell us how to relax in 2023 with some cannabis retreats.
Yeah. If you're looking for ways to relax in 2023, here are 3 cannabis retreats happening this year. It's well known that many people use cannabis and CBD products to relieve anxiety, stress, and muscle tension. A 2020 survey showed more than 80% of participating cannabis consumers used it at least in part for wellness purposes. And though it certainly isn't for everyone, it's helping many people around the world cope with mental and physical health struggles. If you love cannabis and have made a commitment to prioritize your health in the coming year, you might want to consider attending a cannabis retreat in 2023. Cannabis retreats or wellness retreats that incorporate CBD or traditional cannabis products have been popping up as a popular way to both travel and unwind as cannabis becomes legal or decriminalized around the world. Imagine relaxing in the mountains with a group of your best friends, wearing spa robes and passing a joint around. Pretty perfect, right? Well, we took a look around the internet to see what cannabis wellness retreats are available. Here are some that caught our eye. 1. Cannabis in Hike, Portland. When? October 15th through the 19th. Where? Portland, Oregon. If you're interested in a retreat that mixes exercise with cannabis, Cannabis and Hike Portland could be just what you're looking for. The retreat is all about self-discovery and spiritual awakening. Prepare to spend a lot of time in reflection and learn some spiritual and mental wellness tips that you can use your entire life. Some of the events in the itinerary include wine tasting and mixers, CBD massage therapy, a cannabis hike and meditation session, wake and bake breakfast, and various therapeutic sessions. This event will also give you a chance to meet new people who share your passion for fitness, cannabis, and the great outdoors. The next one is the Women's Empowerment and...
Hold on.
What?
You said it right.
I know. Oregon. I had to think about it. It didn't just roll off my tongue. The Women's Empowerment and Spiritual Awakening Retreat. And that is when May 11th through the 14th. Where? Newport, Vermont. Self-care moms, this one's for you. This Mother's Day retreat is made for refreshing, relaxing, and rejuvenating women. Cozy up with like-minded friends or make some new friends in a scenic New England cottage and prepare to heal both your body and mind with spiritual workshops, massage, and of course, a little CBD. This retreat is hosted by Nature's Mysteries Apothecary, a small family-owned CBD and cosmetic brand formulated by Michelle Wildflower, a graduate of the clinical cannabinoid medicine curriculum. The 3-day-long program offers workshops and classes in the following subjects: spirituality, women's issues, cooking and nutrition, herbalism, meditation, medicinal mushrooms, chakra cleansing, connecting with natural or nature spirits, healing, touch therapy, empowerment, self-care, massage, healing, and crystals. And the last one is Dank Girls. And this is also May 11th through the 14th. And it is in Rockaway Beach, Oregon, or Lewiston, Michigan. This is a group retreat intended for women and couples. So here's one for the guys. They have events in April. I don't know. Maybe it's female couples. I don't know. Look it up. They have events in April and June for cannabis enthusiasts to attend. The purpose of the event is for people to unwind, enjoy themselves, and combine good energy for a memorable weekend. They have a retreat for 420 that runs through April 20th and the 23rd in Rockaway Beach also, and another event will be held June 22nd to 25th in Lewiston, Michigan. The Rockaway Beach retreat takes place in a mansion, and you'll be able to enjoy amenities like a hot tub, movie theater, and more. For those who are more outdoorsy, the Lewiston retreat will take place in cottages in the woods, where you'll have access to kayaking on the nearby lake. A complimentary bud or dab bar, or both, is included at both locations. So, as you can see, I think we've had quite a few articles about different cannabis travel options, but it's becoming a thing. You got to look for it a little bit, but there is canna-travel, and these are a few that are happening in this.
I think the
this
Dank
year.
Girls one was for women and women couples.
And that's what I was saying.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
female couples.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So sorry, guys. We'll find some guy things. We'll talk about them later.
Mrs Weedman,
Yeah,
that's the end of the show.
it is.
It is. That hour went by quick.
That was fast.
Yeah, it always goes by fast when you're having fun, right?
Yep.
And you're stoned.
Mm-hmm.
You got anything else to say?
Pass me the bowl,
Yeah, here you go.
please. Thank you. I'm gonna have more.
There you go. Smoke it up.
Smoke the smoke.
Little one will do ya. Hey, everybody out there in the world. We appreciate you listening to the show. Thank you very much for all of the DMs and all of the just everything everyone out there is doing. We appreciate you. We appreciate you loving us, and we love you back. Thanks for listening out there. Don't forget to check out 8decades.com, our website, and everything that's on there. Mrs. Weedman's choking. So check out everything on 8 Decades. Our bio, all of our handles are on there. Our social media handles, all of our cool-ass, dope-ass stuff that Mrs. Weedman created. So check it out, 8decades.com. And as Paulie always says, smoke smart, puffing away.
Puff, puff, pass.